Hello, and welcome to the Strategic Storytelling Podcast, the podcast where you'll learn how to communicate like a pro by leveraging the power of stories. I'm your host, Cesar Castro, and thank you for being here again, now in our fourth episode. Thank you for listening, for giving us your time, for sharing your time with me especially, in wanting to learn what I think is the most important communication skill that you can learn, which is strategic storytelling. And if this is your first time listening to the episode, remember to subscribe so that way wherever you listen to the podcast, next time we upload a new episode, you can be notified right away. Now, in this fourth episode, I want to talk to you about what I call the 3 P's to speak with confidence. The 3 P's to speak with confidence. And the reason why I want to talk to you about this, first, is because you're human. And it doesn't matter if you're a business leader, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a very, very successful person. There's one thing that's certain. We are all scared of public speaking. Public speaking is scary. And this is coming from someone who dedicates his life to public speaking and to training others in public speaking and storytelling. And I can tell you that public speaking is scary. Actually, research has shown over and over again that when it comes to fear, public speaking is usually top 3. For some people, public speaking is even worse than dying. I mean, it gets literally to that point. That's why there's a saying that goes that in a funeral, there are actually more people that would rather be in the casket than giving the commemorative speech. I don't know if this is you. But I do remember that when a few years back, started my training and consulting business. And I began working with leaders from big companies. And especially I was working with this multinational bank in Latin America. And part of the consulting project was helping these leaders facilitate a little mini workshop that we had helped create where they were talking about change management. This bank in general was trying to implement a new culture. So we were teaching them about change management, and they were talking about that with the teams. Now, these were big time executives. They were all directors from this multinational bank. And I thought very, very naively that they were going to be awesome at communicating. I thought in my head, they do this every day. They have to present every day. They have meetings every day. So doing this mini little workshop, they're going to hit it out of the ballpark. And I still remember showing up to one of these first mini workshops that we were working with the directors. And it was the first chance that I had to see one of these big time directors doing this workshop with a team, with a real live team. And personally, I was very anxious to see them present and speak in public. And boy, was I shocked. Boy, was I shocked. Because despite the fact that these executives were bright, intelligent people, no doubt about that, when they had to get up in front of the team and speak, you could tell that they just really, really struggled. There was clear nervousness and anxiety in their voice and their gestures and in general in how they presented. And I was shocked because, again, I was thinking in my head, these guys that have these leadership positions where they're 70 to 80% of their day, they're presenting, that they should know how to do this really, really well. And I was shocked. Now, why is this important? Why am I sharing this with you? And why do I even want to talk about this topic being one of the first episodes of this podcast. Because if you're not a confident speaker and presenter, if you don't ooze confidence when you present and you speak, people will perceive it. People will perceive it. And the more anxiety and the more nervousness you project when you communicate, the less people will believe you. And the less people will believe you, the less they'll trust you. And the less they'll trust you, the less influence you'll have. You get the idea. This is kind of like a trickle effect. So as communicators, as speakers, one of our most important, we'll say one of the most important aspects and skills that we have to develop is confidence. We have to learn how to be confident communicators. And this doesn't necessarily even mean yet that you have to be extremely skilled, because there are obviously skills that you can learn and develop. And in the following episodes, I'll be teaching you certain skills that can help you. But first, you have to be confident in order to project that to your team. So I want to share with you three P's to help you develop that confidence as a speaker and communicator. And these are 3 P's that I teach my clients, my coaching clients that I work with. Whenever I see that there's that lack of confidence, I teach them these 3 P's and give them a few exercises so they can really develop these things. But to you here that are listening, I'm going to just teach you these 3 P's, give you some suggestions. And if you start doing them, if you start practicing them, I promise you'll become much more confident. Okay, so get your pen and paper out and take some notes, because this can be a game changer. This can literally be a game changer for you. So the first P is perspective. Perspective. A lot of what influences how we feel about public speaking has more to do about what we think about public speaking. So if we think that public speaking is horrible, or we think that public speaking is worse than death, or we think that it's something that is almost just given to a few, it's almost like some special gift, and we don't have that. If we think that way, if we have that perspective, that will influence how you feel about it. Now, the great thing about perspective is that it can always be adapted or changed. You don't have to have the same perspective. We can change it as we learn new things. So even me, even though I've been public speaking since I was a kid, and I learned it when I was in elementary school, and then as a young adult, and I studied psychology and learned about my mind and learned about people. And even me, when I first started public speaking, I had a perspective that usually generated a lot of anxiety around public speaking. And I still remember one of the things that helped me shift my perspective about public speaking was actually an event that I went to. In 2016, I went to an event because I was learning about leadership. So I searched for who was the guru of leadership at that time, and it was John Maxwell, who's considered even up to this day one of the best and one of the gurus of leadership. And I remember showing up to this seminar, and I actually went to an earlier session where there was a small group of people. And in that small little session, we got the chance to ask John Maxwell questions. So I had my hand raised, and they finally called on me. And I actually had one really important question at that time, because I was in my early 30s, and I had already started my consulting and training, and I was working with corporate leaders. But to be honest, there were times when I felt a little insecure. And I felt a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to teach these big corporate leaders about leadership? And I raised my hand and got called on. And I asked John Maxwell, I said, look, I know that when you started as a leadership trainer and consultant and coach, you were very young. He was actually like 21 or 22 when he started. And I said, how did you do it to overcome your fear at the beginning? How did you overcome fear of having to speak to leaders and give them, teach them and give them suggestions and tips and principles? How did you overcome it? Now, in my mind, again, I'm thinking he already overcame it. Right now, he's speaking to thousands of people, so he's probably not scared anymore. And he just listened to me, very just focused a lot on me, and he was very quiet for a few seconds. And when he finally spoke up, he said, I'm still scared. Even to this day, I'm still scared. And then he said, but I know what you're asking me. I know that you're asking me, how do we handle this? How do we manage it? And then he shared with me something that totally changed my perspective. He said, look, when you have to speak to leaders, when you have to teach somebody, when you're out there with your business, with your company, you have to remember why you're doing what you're doing. You have to remember your vision of why you're doing what you're doing. And then he said, because if your vision is big, if your vision is something that you are convinced about, your vision will drown out your fear. I'm going to repeat this. He said, if your vision is big, your purpose is big, it will drown out your fear. So you have to develop a vision or a purpose that will help you drown out the fear. And that to me was a game changer because I hadn't thought of it that way. I had heard about the importance of having a purpose, but I had never connected the dots of having a strong purpose could actually drown out my fear. And when I went home and really started analyzing what is my purpose, what is it that I want to do, at that point, which still wasn't very, very clear because I was just getting started, I did at least identify that one of my purposes, we'll call it, was just to help with what I knew at that time, to help with what I felt was at least the best skill that I had at that time. And when I started thinking of even public speaking as an opportunity to help, everything changed. Because it went from being worried about me, worried about, do I remember what I got to say? Do I remember the content? What are people going to think? It went from that, which usually generates more anxiety, to I'm here to help. I'm here to just help with what I know. And what happens when you change that perspective, when I changed it, at least what happened to me was now I didn't feel pressure because I just felt that I was there to help. That's it. And I was going to do the best I could to help the people that were listening to me. And that is the suggestion that I give you. You don't have to have the same perspective that I have, but change your perspective to something that will give you meaning and purpose as a communicator, as a speaker. Because I will tell you one thing. Doesn't matter what job you're in, doesn't matter what position you're in. Every time you have a chance to get in front of a team and speak and communicate, you have a chance to help somebody. You have a chance to even change somebody's life. And when you start growing your perspective in that way and seeing what you do as more than just something technical, more than just the numbers, and you start seeing it as something that has to do with people and change and transformation and influence, you'll see how that perspective gives you more confidence to get up in front of that public. So that is the first. That is the first P, is you have to have perspective and shift or change your perspective so you can feel more confident. The second P is positive. It's positive. Now, if we have the right perspective, it'll help you with this. But even when you feel a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of nervousness, if you're positive, you can transform that anxiety into excitement. It's actually been proven that a lot of the same physiological reactions that we have when we're anxious are the same physiological reactions we have when we're excited. The only difference is what you're saying to yourself. So if you're going to get up and speak in public, right? And usually the moments when you feel the most anxiety is right before you're going to get up and speak in front of an audience. If you're feeling anxiety and you're thinking, oh, okay, what if I forget? What if I do this wrong? What if people don't like it? You're going to just get covered with anxiety. And it's going to be really hard to come out and stand in front of the crowd and project confidence. But if you think positive, hi, this is a wonderful, wonderful chance I get to talk to my team. What I have to share today I'm gonna hit it out of the ballpark. I've practiced this a lot, or I've worked on this content. I know it can add value to people. You can transform anxiety into excitement. It all depends on the words we use. The words we say to ourselves creates our emotional states. And then our emotional state influences the words that we keep using. So we have to be more proactive and destroy the loop, because we can control the words, which then can influence our emotions, which then will influence the words. And it becomes that positive feedback loop. And it changes everything. Next time you have to speak in front of an audience, before you get out and speak, which is actually something I also do, when I'm in the backstage, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going to mess up. Oh, it's going to be horrible. I'm thinking, oh, this is so awesome. This is going to be a wonderful experience. I'm going to rock it today because I've practiced, I've worked. Plus, I'm here to serve. I'm here to give people the best of what I know. It's going to be great. And it's amazing how that anxiety turns into excitement. And excitement, it's a lot different than what anxiety feels like, in the sense that excitement takes you forward, makes you want to go act. Anxiety kind of puts you in a shell. And when you go out there and speak in public, when you're out there in front of your team, your group, people perceive whether you're excited and passionate or you're anxious and scared. And all that can be influenced and even modified just by being positive. Now, the third P, this one to me is crucial, is practice. The more we practice, the more we get familiar with the unfamiliar. Anytime you practice something, it will get easier and easier. So communication, public speaking, strategic storytelling is a skill. And like any skill, the more you practice, the easier it gets. So you'll also see, as you practice it and it gets easier, that it's not as bad as you initially thought it was. It becomes a lot easier. But this requires time. It requires effort. So you can practice speaking with confidence. You can practice being more expressive, being more excited. You can practice being a better communicator. But you have to practice. Unfortunately, a lot of times with my clients, when they have to give a presentation, they'll work a lot on the content. They'll work a lot on that everything is well structured, that the numbers are right. If they're telling a story, that the story is correct. But they don't practice delivering it. And the more you practice delivering it, the more it becomes part of you. The more you just notice that this unfamiliar feeling that you get when you speak in public can become more familiar as you practice it over and over again. So these are the 3 P's that I want to invite you to apply. Next time you have to get up in front of your team, next time you got to get in front of your customer, your client, your business, your organization, remember, perspective, positive, and practice. Those three things repeated over and over again will help you be much, much more confident. And again, if you're confident and you project confidence, people will believe you, people will trust you, and you'll have more influence with the messages and the ideas and your communication. I hope this helps. I hope this gives you a little bit of a head start because, again, it's something we all have to battle with. There's not one person that can say, no, I'm 100% confident about this. Everyone struggles because public speaking is scary. Public speaking is hard. But that doesn't mean you can't be confident. If, again, you apply these three things, I can guarantee that the next time you have to speak in public, you can be much, much more confident. Now, if you or your company or you as a leader need to become more confident, more persuasive, more influential communicators, visit my website, CesarCastro.com, and learn all the different ways that I can help you and your organization. So again, CesarCastro.com, and you can begin your journey of transformation. Because remember, all great leaders are also great communicators, and especially, they're great storytellers. Thank you for listening to the Strategic Storytelling Podcast. And if you still haven't, remember, subscribe wherever you listen so you can follow the podcast, be notified when the next episode comes out. And most importantly, you can continue to learn how to communicate like a pro by leveraging the power of stories. Bye-bye.